looking up in the sun. Oh my god. Okay, here you go, bud. Okay, so it's been more than a week since I filmed the last thing about switching out the doors, or whether or not I would switch out the doors, but the winch and stuff. So I was hunting elk and deer. Already got a deer. I'm going back out for elk in 2 days, which is Tuesday. So this project still needs to be done. I just was putting it off, and then realizing we have a friend coming into town, and that's Chelsea's car. So I'm gonna have to make it so she could take a friend around without freaking him out. So we're gonna put the doors back on today, and then I'm gonna see if I can get the winch put on real quick. So here we go. Now we're gonna do the project. So Chelsea's working on the kitchen. That's loud. And I want to apologize in advance for the clutter. My Traeger Timberline 1300 just showed up from Traeger. I'm gonna make a separate video about that. Oh, and that's a sleeping bag. Somebody peed the bed. Anyway, so that's got to be cleaned, and we're gonna take care of that later. But
it wasn't me, it was my brother.
He has 3 brothers. We're not gonna tell him which one.
So the first thing we're going to do is take off these skeletonized doors. I cannot remember who makes them. It does not matter. You can find a bajillion of them online. Anyway, we just needed solid doors back on.
Well, that was easy. Pretty simple, actually. It's just 2 nuts per door, and this come off. The old doors are going to be a little bit harder. That's different. So we just take a nut off this and that hinge, and then the little skeletonized doors pop off real easy. But for the bigger doors, we just need to loosen these. When we put the bigger doors on the hinge itself, then we just align it before we tighten these, and then we're all good. So, oh, and then connect the cables for the windows and the power mirrors and all that stuff. So now we're gonna do that.
So because I left these doors outside my house, they got a little dusty. Just a quick blow off and they're good to go.
Okay, now all we gotta do is put the new doors, the original doors. We're gonna put the original doors back on.
Thank God for time lapse, because this would be really boring in real time. A lot of hinging back and forth, loosening, tightening, and really honestly it's not that hard. It's just time consuming. Kids help, of course. Holy crap, look how fast we can go. We are super fast like robots.
Well, that was pretty simple.
I say that a lot.
Now we just gotta go get it washed.
Probably pointless.
And it's all ready for Chelsea. I'm thinking I'll wash it after I do the winch. Okay, so the first thing we gotta do is we're gonna remove the Fairlead, okay? So I'm gonna have you get a wrench. So it's not here, and it's not here, and we'll take that off first, okay? So you go find the right size wrench.
God, I love having a son like him. He's great.
It pays to have a good helper. Alright, so you have a little wrench and a big wrench, right? You have to move it around. Let's use the big wrench as the...
Okay, personal opinion time, since I'm going to speed this up like a lot. It's always a good idea to have your kids, if you have kids, out doing these types of things with you. 1, you teach them how to use the tools. 2, you teach them how to do things on a vehicle or anything you're working on. And 3, you teach them how to deal with adversity, like when things don't go right because a manufacturer sucks, like this company that made this crappy winch. Now they know how to fix it.
So apparently I have to remove the skid plate before I can get the winch off, because the winch bolts come down through here somewhere. Anyway, so this is one more step, I think. I hope it's not like 20 more steps. This is really stupid. And I'm not a huge fan of this Jeep suspension. I'm gonna have to have this upgraded.
The good news is I already convinced Chelsea I can get a new suspension, so that's covered.
Okay, let me get the big one off first, okay?
Okay, so after taking off the Fairlead, I had to get under and take off the skid plate, and for some reason the way they manufactured the skid plate, or at least the guy who put on the skid plate before I got this Jeep for Chelsea, put on bolts that were too long underneath, so I had to get some special smaller wrenches to get in there and hold the backside of the nut as I pulled the bolt out through the bottom, which was super annoying. However, I was able to take this moment to take my place in history as a typical working on a truck father, because this is of course where I get to express my disdain for poor assembly, manufacturing, and other people's shoddy work. This is something that's really critically important to teach your kids, you know, how to complain about other people's stuff.
Okay, I think it's called Road Armor 4x4. It could have been the person who installed it before, but they use excessively long bolts, and that was a pain in the ass. I also broke one of my ratcheting wrenches. It's a Husky wrench, so it should have a lifetime warranty. I'm just going to go replace it in a minute when we're done. But that broke, and that was stupid. So now we're learning that toolkits can just spontaneously fall apart. So they have to put that back together.
114.
By the way, I'm a homeschool dad, and I think sockets are a great way to teach kids how to do fractions.
Looking up in the sun. Oh my god.
You sneeze when you look up.
Okay, here you go, bud. Take those 2 bolts you can see down. Okay. Start off with a little nice and easy.
Now, I don't know if it's all winches, but this winch and, of course, WARN winches are bolted into the bumper with just 2 big bolts. Once you remove those, the winch should lift right off the bumper. Pro dad tip. Always give them a chance to look around and touch things on their own. As long as it's safe to do, it's a good idea to give them their own little moment of independence. There might not be much going on, but at least it gives them a chance to feel like they can do things on their own. At this point, all I had to do was pop the hood and pull out the previous wiring, which I discovered wasn't connected to anything at all. Nothing whatsoever. It was just tangled up in the engine.
This is why you don't use a Harbor Freight winch. I've never seen something. Don't touch that. That's corrosive, like acid. That is a piece of junk. Look at that. It wasn't even in there. Holy cow. All right, well, that explains why this thing sucks. That's why you get a WARN, friends. This is a piece of junk.
A piece of junk? Yep, piece of junk.
You said it. This is the winch we're actually going to be going to. The WARN VR EVO 10S. And the 10S means it comes with a synthetic rope.
Okay, time to open up that box.
This is why most people should carry on knives.
You know, open up boxes.
In case you're wondering, the purple mark on my son's head is actually ointment. I think my wife calls colloidal silver or something like that. He just had a surgery, and those are his stitches on his forehead.
Let's take a look at Mama's brand new. Ooh, those are heavy. New winch. What's this? Something?
What's this? Something?
Parts.
This something?
What's this? What's this? Looks like something I'm gonna have to lift. Oh, that's pretty.
All brand new.
Woohoo. All that the light touches, warning you. That was supposed to be a symbol. Same bolt pattern.
Honestly, when I set out to do this, I thought the wiring for the winch was going to be really complicated, or at least slightly complicated. It turns out it's actually insanely easy. Positive to positive, negative to negative, and honestly, that's it. Just bolt it in.
Looks a lot better, huh?
Yep.
That's a real winch. It's a real boy. I'm a real boy.
Now let's see if this is the Fairview.
Fairview? Fairlead?
Fairlead.
Fairlead?
Yeah.
Fairlead.
Fairlead.
Fairlead. Do you need me to swap that out for you? Yeah, hold on just a second. Look at your brand new winch.
Ooh, sexy.
Sexier than that thing. The wires melted together. Well, they don't want to drop it, but yes, there you go. Now we need the bolts for it.
It's a Fairview.
It's not a Fairview, it's Fairlead. Fairview is a street.
Fairlead thingy.
There's the hardware, the hooky dowel, the sub bolts. Not too concerned with that. I'm guessing these are for the Fairlead.
Seems like one strong hook.
What were you using instead of that? Factor 55 link, right? Okay, so this is the one that
This
came
is
with
the
it.
one that we have, old, but still strong. But it can be better.
Especially when you don't drop the pin out of it. Show it to me. Okay, so what's this?
It's a Factor 55 stronger hook. With reinforced.
Titanium pin, huh?
I actually really love my Factor 55 links. Now I think they have a Pro Link XXL, and that was the flat link which they use for synthetic lines, or actually I think just pulling really nice and flush to the bumper. Right now we're just attaching the winch with the bolts through the bottom of the bumper, and we're also pre-running the wires through the engine from the battery down to the bottom. Of course, make sure you leave them disconnected until they are hooked up to the winch first, then connect them to the battery.
So we're all bolted in on the winch. Now we're gonna wire it up and then I guess attach the Fairlead. Oh, and the skid plate, we'll put that back on. I didn't know, but it looks like this model winch actually has a completely wireless remote trigger. You look right there, check that out. So I'm excited, I'm actually really excited to see how that works. I wonder how long it takes to charge it. The buttons are, these ones are indented or recessed, and this one is protruding, I guess. Like the texture on the front, you can see sort of. So it's pretty cool. Okay, we've run the wires through here, which I will pair up right there with the zip tie in a second. And then we're gonna tighten up the negative with a ground wire. And I've run it up through here. I just need to keep it tight down through there. Oops, down through there. And then we connect them and we're set, I think.
So pretty much a straightforward process, and everything goes well and good until one of your kids hits the other kid in the eye.
Come here, Ika. How'd you throw it?
Please excuse this brief parenting intermission.
Oh, God, why? Why?
That is my eyes, boy.
You're okay. Go sit on the couch, close your eyes.
And with that taken care of, we're right back to work. Just tightening up the bolts on top of the battery and we're set.
So that's done. And the only thing left to do is put on the Factor 55 link and then test it out. Hopefully I don't electrocute myself. This actually isn't that hard, to tell you the truth. Oh, I gotta put on the skid plate, but I'll do that after I make sure the winch works.
Dad, what's
So it's time to test it. I wasn't supposed to rip off like that. So I'll fix that in a second.
Oh, look who has jokes.
Oh, I got the power button going.
Also, this thing is internet.
Look at this. Boom! Yeah! Well, we've determined the doors are on. Yay! And also, the windows are operational. Yes, that is true. But more importantly, we have a functioning, legitimate winch that was meant for going off-road, not a trash can. Pull it, Arn. Oh, up and pull on. Hey, pull it until I say stop. Pull, Leica. Everybody grab some line.
So now it's time to test the winch, and this is how I get it done. Also, I want to re-spool it so the line is all perfectly straight. Ah, winching perfection. This might take a while.
I was just standing there like Sean. It was
Yeah.
my idea.
With that, the new winch is on, looks great, and we are completely functional. Like, comment, and subscribe if you liked the video. See you next time.